So if you actually understand this politically, the political and historical circumstances that motivate the transition movement have resulted in what I think is a pretty cosmopolitan definition of resilience, which focuses not just on adaptation but systemic renewal. And in this way, I think what it does is call attention to larger relationships of power that are created and sustained through dominant, often neoliberal economic discourses that are predicated on growth and energy consumption. Right? So developing resilience for this movement involves starting by formulating a steady state economy that is focused on establishing economic security that is equitable within the capacity of the ecosystem to provide that equity. Right? So it starts with the ecosystem first. So in this way, this movement is drawn into broader resistance against prevailing discourses of austerity and disaster capitalism, which defined financial resources in terms of scarcity and ecological resources in terms of plenitude, as plentiful. Right? In the transition movement inverts this relationship and treats finance as plentiful and scarcity as ecological. Okay, so human capacity in terms of the capacity for creativity is unbounded, whereas environmental capital is treated as finite. So that's a pretty radical inversion. Right? And in addition to challenging this kind of economic model, it also challenges popular opinions that, and for those of us who study communication, this is crucial. It challenges popular opinions that cast environmental consciousness as naysaying. Right? So when you ask a citizen who's accustomed to the consumption pattern of capitalism to rethink their assumptions about growth, modify their lifestyle, it's likely to be completely dismissed out of defensiveness and fear. And most people see environmentalists as naysayers, right? People who are party poopers, who want to stop consumption, right? But what this does, this movement, I think, is interestingly, it appropriates positive discourse itself as a means to go beyond this problem and places very optimistic attention onto what the future might look like. Right? So as the handbook says, it's one thing to campaign against climate change and quite another to paint a compelling and engaging vision of a post-carbon world in such a way as to enthuse others to embark on a journey towards it. Right? So building resilience is not framed in terms of sacrifice or in terms of loss, but it's framed in terms of creating a livable future that focuses on developing human happiness through meaningful relationships, through a sense of purpose, through environmental harmony, rather than the accumulation of material goods. Right, so that I think is sort of the discursive potential of this movement.